I want to say thank you. Thank you, Yemi, for this opportunity. And I'm happy to take questions right now. All right. So let me just get on to the screen of the questions.
If you also like to mute to ask your questions, kindly raise your hands. We'll grant you permission to unmute.
Great. All right. So this person says that at what stage do I know I'm exaggerating? At what stage? The moment you are not telling the truth, the moment you are blowing it out of proportion and it seems unbelievable, you are exaggerating. The first caveat is if it is not true, do not put it there. Like I cited the example of what you did and the number. If you put a percentage, you're not exaggerating. If the percentage reflects it from a bigger impact point of view, it makes it look bigger, right? You're not exaggerating, you're telling the truth. You're not lying. If you do the numbers, it will still reflect that. But if it is not true, if it is getting close to being too good to be true, if it is not verifiable, I think it is close to exaggeration or even beyond it, and that's lying. And I would not encourage that. Okay. I hope I'm scrolling right. And Yemi, you can help me if, okay, so right here. Okay.
If you want to ask
that's
question, raise your hands. I'll drop the link to our book on the comment section in the next few seconds or minutes.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Okay, so this says, thank you for emphasizing the need for reflectful thoughts on one's activities. Awesome. That's great. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. All right, question. Can I put activities outside my career as part of my achievement? Awesome. Yes. Yes, you can, because this is about you. Yes, you have other, we spoke about projects you can be on, and such projects doesn't have to be only within your current workspace, right? It could be outside of your workspace. It could even be outside of your profession, right? But then make sure that that achievement is reflecting on your person, your profile positively, that it would impress the recruiter to, of course, shortlist your CV and invite you for an interview. There are activities that might not be relevant to the kind of position you're looking for. You want to be careful not to put in all of those activities on your CV. And that's why we said you can actually have CVs that are couched for different purposes. You can actually have that. So for example, you have a CV that wants to reflect your leadership capability. You want to reflect volunteering activities around what you've done, maybe to lead an initiative or to lead a team. And it may have to be within your organization or outside your employer's organization. Yes, you can put activities outside your career as part of your achievement, but just be careful that it's not veering away from your core experience. Okay? Thank you.
Kule Fatai, you can unmute and ask your question, please. Hello, Kule Fatai.
All right, thank you very much, Yemi, and fantastic presentation. I must say, Faith, I think you have presented today, especially on this fifth anniversary. It's a big one, and I really appreciate it. I'm taking notes, as you have said. I had my pen, and I've actually taken some notes as we were going along in the presentation. I wanted to ask, the way you detailed or describe the CV, that you have your name and another description about you, then you move to the achievements. Now, when we put responsibilities and job duties on our CV, how detailed should it be? Knowing fully well that you would have put your achievements there, need you now be really detailed, because some job descriptions are actually very lengthy, right? And they just populate it as you find like 3, 4 pages of job description, and duties are just overflowing there. So how lengthy or how much of your job responsibilities should you put on your CV? Thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And a great question. I appreciate that question. One thing is important, that your job description is not the same as what is expected to be on your CV. A lot of people just start out with job description because maybe you do not know how to highlight your achievement, or you think you do not have enough achievement. Earlier in my career, and I think even till now, I have a sample of my CV on the book in case you're interested to have a look. I usually would put achievements amid various responsibilities. So that segment is a combination of both my achievement and responsibilities. But here I learn to prioritize. I can't put everything on my CV. I can't. So I'm going to put the most impactful achievement and most impactful responsibilities. And over time, the responsibilities will continue to drop as you continue to have more and more achievement. I tell you, the more years you put in the work and the more consciousness that you begin to have of having achievement on your CV, the more you will realize that you've done so much, right? And over time, those achievements would overtake responsibilities. Recruiters find achievement more interesting to read versus responsibilities. So I would ask you to prioritize achievement over responsibilities. But in case you want to bulk it up, the way we like to bulk up a CV, right? You can prioritize your achievement first and then add a few responsibilities. And truth be told, some responsibilities would tell some stories about the scope and the size of what you do, right? So you can have a combination of that on your CV. I hope that answers it. All right. So there's a question here. It says, do I have to edit my CV, I suppose, for every role I am applying for? It depends. I've listened to a series of podcasts. I've heard write-ups and all of that on curating different CVs for different jobs. Those are different schools of thoughts, and I appreciate it. I love it. Faith Akintunde, I do not have different CVs for different jobs, right? Why? Because I'm already in my space. I understand where my work is. I'm an HR professional, and that's what I continue to look for, and I continue to grow in that path. But some of us have different skills, different experiences, and we want to change markets. We want to operate in different markets and all of that. So I have a very close friend, a good person, right? Great person, professional, that they change job and pivots. 3 or 4 times they have changed jobs, they've pivoted. So you've got to learn how to tell your own story in a way that would help you attract that job. And you can have different CVs for different types of job you're applying for. And I tell you, the world is changing. So don't follow Faith Akintunde. Oh, she has only one CV, so I'm going to have only one CV. Please, you can have different CVs for different kind of roles you're looking for. But because you are this one and the same person, it's important that you are consistent across board, the story you're telling about your brand, about your person. So, for instance, you're looking for an international remote job, and the work you have done most of your career is you report in person. So you have never had to facilitate sessions or join global meetings at midnight with time zone and all of that, and you do not have time zone awareness. You've got to be able to show us in some way, right? And because before I started taking global jobs or working in global organizations, I've had to volunteer for global organizations so that I can experience time zone issues, talk about working remotely and all of that, even though they were volunteering activities. But I could tell the story of my remote work based on that. In fact, the current job I do, if I recall my interview, the question they asked me about time zone, the answer I gave them was based on a volunteer role that I've taken. You see? So every experience we gather, they have a role they play. And back to that story, you can have a different CV that reflects everything you've done and on an international in the international space so that you can get that international job that you're looking for. So it's important that you don't do a shoddy job because you're trying to chase different roles here and there. Make sure that as you are curating your CV and fitting it into this role, it is telling a consistent story about your brand, about your person. Don't forget, many recruiters these days, they would go and check you out online. So they know you, right? They see your CV. So, like I said, there has to be a correlation between the story you're telling on this particular CV and your person that is known out there. And I hope that helped.
Hi, Maru. Lessons has been up for a while.
Okay.
I hope you
so
are
let's take
not paying you. I'll bet virtual paid. Fayomi, you can ask your questions, please.
Thank you, Yemi.
Hello, Fayomi.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay. First and foremost, I would like to say congratulations on the 5th anniversary of the HR Mentorship Group. And my question, I was actually typing the question, but I think I can just now all my professional years, I've practiced law. I've not worked in any corporate organization. I've done legal practice, and I have had to do so many things relating to employment law, contracts, and all of that. Now I am trying to transition into HR. How do I now couch my CV to reflect some of the things I've done relating to HR, to clinch an HR related job in an organization? So that's my question. Thank you.
Thanks for your question. And it's a powerful question because it's going to require some form of, would I call it thesis, right? Now, that's just on a lighter note. One thing that I've highlighted over the course of this conversation is the importance of being able to sit and have a thinking through a thought process, right? How does the things you have done in the past, how does it relate to the problem that HR professionals solve? And when you say into HR, HR is a broad field. Are you going into HR as a generalist? Are you going into HR as a specialist? If you're going as a specialist, what kind of expertise or what kind of area, what area are you looking at? Are you going to be a talent manager, a talent acquisition specialist? Are you going to be a comp and bend person, a rewards person and all? But from what I've heard you say, it looks like you've done something that's got to do with engaging people for certain projects and onboarding people and all of that. So you might really just want to study the HR value chain, the things that HR people do, and then look at what resonates with you along that line, and then look. There's a lot that you would have to do. I can't hide that from you. You would have to then sit down and study job descriptions of this kind of roles, and then think of how the things you've done in the past connect with these, either the skills they are looking for or the kind of responsibilities that they've highlighted on the job adverts. When I was starting my career, I actually moved from investment banking into HR. I started as an investment banker, and I remember some of the attempts I made at getting an HR job. When I just started out in HR, just about 6 months experience, I found myself reading job adverts a lot, just reading it. Just read the adverts, look at the qualifications they're asking for, the years of experience, the kind of skills they are asking for. I love reading that person specification part where it tells the kind of person, the kind of skills, your personality, your communication skills, all those things. They were I'll call them low-hanging fruits because they're not technical and you can easily learn those ones, right? So you start from there, and then in reading those job adverts, you will get a clue around what people or what recruiters are looking for in that space. And feel free to volunteer as well. You can volunteer. You can start out from even if it's not a structured HR organization. It could be a consulting firm. It could be a community of HR people where you are listening to conversations around HR, right? And I mean, you talk about HR mentorship. I hope you're on that group. If you are not, you are wrong. So it's important that you join the community of people so that you can learn, and then opportunities would start out from there. But on the bit of your CV, you really have to sit down and do some work. It might require maybe 2 or 3 weekends. And just to add this, I know people hire people to write CVs. I've written CVs for people before. I have mentees that write CVs for people, and I'm not about to spoil their market. But even when they write CVs for you, you have to take that CV and own it. You have to rewrite that CV in a way that you can tell the story behind whatever is on that CV. So even if you're going to get someone to help you, you really, really have to do the work of putting the content together. I hope that helps.
Thank you. If I may just wade in just to support. My mom is a lawyer. My middle younger sister is a lawyer. So I have some family affinity with lawyers. So let me just help with respect to some of the HR value chain that may speak to you as a lawyer, also based on what you said earlier. So you have done things around contracting. Okay. Now, there are a lot of intersection and similarities between HR and law. For example, HR is hinged heavily on policy processes. Lawyers, that's your forte, policies. HR, irrespective of the country, is hinged on labor law, ILO, International Labor Organization. You understand that end to end. So you can bring that to the table, policy drafting, policy formulation, contract execution, implementation. But let me quickly also add this. If you are really passionate about HR, there must be one HR certification that you should aspire to do quickly. They are not as difficult, either local or foreign or combination of the two. Just to give some credence to your desire and to your aspiration. You may also want to add that to it. Thank you, Faith, for allowing me wade in. Thank you.
Thank you, Yemi. That was very helpful. Very, very helpful. And I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so this person says, for someone that just switched career, how best can I sell myself to recruiters through my CV? You just switched career. I do not know from where to where. My first encouragement to you is to establish yourself first in that job. And I wouldn't encourage you to start looking for jobs right now. It might not be a great organization. There might be a lot of reasons why you're looking for jobs and all of that. But I think you should establish yourself in this career. You have just switched, which is a positive thing. You have been able to achieve your aspiration of switching. Fantastic. Give it time. When you give it time, it means that while you're on that job, you're able to do much. You're able to record achievement. Then your achievement can then sell you. A quick story. I still have this person as a mentee. And when I hired her, she was not an HR person. I hired her as an admin person, and she just loved HR. She just wanted to do HR, and I kept on saying, "See, the best way for you to do HR is to just do the work. We're here together. You're already working with HR. You're an admin person. Fantastic. But I'm going to be giving you opportunities to do some HR work. If you do it well, it would help you. And then you can then tell the story of the work you do." So I see her supporting when it comes to recruitment, putting CVs together, setting up interviews. Sounds like admin, right? But sometimes she then sits in those interviews. She listens to the questions we're asking, and on and on. She didn't switch into HR while I was in that organization. But I tell you, she has now switched to HR. And that's just about 2.5 years, right? And that's to say the switch is fantastic, but the experience is more important. What you lay your hands upon is more important. So I'd request you give it, I want to say you're a fast learner, you're smart, you're a talent. Give it 1 year. Establish yourself in this role. Then the things you have achieved in this role, as a starter you are, as a talent, it will sell you if you're able to couch it properly and put it on your CV. They'll be looking for you. That's my promise.
I see two
Okay.
questions around volunteering. One says, from Gloria Odia, for someone who works a 9 to 5, how do I do volunteer jobs to align with HR? Then another person says, that's from Layo Lanion. Please, how does one go about volunteering?
Okay. Let me start from the 9 to 5. 9 to 5 is 8 hours of 24, and then we'll sleep 24. If you live in Lagos, you can spend half of those remaining 8 hours in traffic, right? So you tell me, oh, what's remaining? There's no time. There will be virtual platforms that you can actually volunteer on. There would be groups like, HR mentorship groups, for example. There will be groups that speak to what you're passionate about that you can volunteer in. If you're a Christian, your church, there are lots and lots of opportunities for you to volunteer in your church. If you're a Muslim, in your mosque, there is a need. There will surely be a need somewhere. You can volunteer. You would surely see a problem to solve. You surely see a need. That's how the world is wired. So it's for you to look out for it. And then the extra mile is important. You got to be ready to go the extra mile outside of your 9 to 5. So you said that you're going to be cutting back on sleep or finding ways to maximize your time, reduce the times that you watch TV or the time you binge on a movie. There will be 1 or 2 hours somewhere that you can save and then dedicate to volunteering. Now, I'll move quickly to answering the volunteering question, where and how. I've mentioned examples of places that you can volunteer to. I'll give you an example. So in one of my past lives, the work was really much. The culture was amazing in a kind of way, right? Quote and unquote. So I really didn't have much time. But I volunteered for an organization where, of course, in the US, the time zones are different. So the time I get to do the work I need to do for them most times doesn't impact my work, but it impacts on either my sleep time or the time I would have to do other things, right? So you would be able to plan yourself and then identify some of these platforms. Now, there are some volunteering that you would do that is not really structured. It may not be a known name or a known organization, right? Like, for example, you did for your church. Your church might not be popular, but being able to highlight what problem you solved is very important. Out there in the global space, people don't really understand, they might not understand the story or the brand. And the world has moved largely. It's not really about the brand you volunteered for. It's usually about the value you add. And the value you add, you are only able to tell that story if you tell it well. That's how they would understand it. You get me? I hope that answered it. If I've not touched, if there's any part I missed out, please hear me. You feel free to wade in, please.
Thank you so much. You have done an excellent job. If I may attempt to recap, opportunities to volunteer are always near you. It could be something in your neighborhood where you live, neighborhood of your organization. And it could be helping a colleague at work. I like what Faith said, that it can be structured or unstructured. It can be a colleague who is overwhelmed or a colleague who is lazy. And there are instances where maybe it could also be a complaint that you will turn to a volunteer opportunity. So maybe last year, the end of year party, in your opinion, was not wow. You can say, I volunteered to join the team to brainstorm and implement. So each time you see a problem that you resonate with, you may be able to do something, do a proposal, reach out to somebody. So take advantage of what is in your vicinity and you will be able to add some value. Excellent solutions provided by our facilitator tonight. As always, we need to wrap up so that our facilitator can go volunteer for some other important things. But is there any compelling question that you must ask Mrs. Akintunde tonight? Let us see. Any compelling question? All right. I'll take that as a not now or a no. Thank you so much, Faith, for joining us tonight. You know, sometimes, if not all the time, Providence always have a way of stepping in to the affairs of men. Oh, I see Olamide as that. I just had a witness that there was one more question. So what we'll do, and this will be the final question. Olamide, better be the mother of all questions. Olamide, we are counting on you.
Sorry, good evening, everyone. Mrs. Akintunde, thank you for this wonderful session. I really appreciate this session. I really appreciate your advice, everything you have said. So, Mrs. Akintunde, I work currently in my company as a relationship manager, but I found HR very interesting. Since when I was in school, I volunteer a lot. I'm a class rep. I do so much volunteering job, and I find it very interesting to do. So I want to transit to HR, but currently I just moved to this relationship manager. I think that was February. But now I want to transit to HR, so I don't know how to tell my HR how to transit to this HR. So I don't know what to do. Should I volunteer? According to what you have said, should I volunteer to do some HR related activities in the company? What do you think? Can you advise me? Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for asking the question. So, the HR leader in me will tell you, if you just transition to this client relations you're in right now, it's important that you establish value, and not just yourself. It might just be a pathway right to where you're headed, but it's important that you show that you're actually clear what you're doing. So that's the HR leader in me. Now, Faith Akintunde is telling you that if you want to move into HR from where you are, right? It's your passion. That's where you see yourself. You find it interesting. You need to quickly check. I mean, Yemi has mentioned that there's a video on how to transition into HR that you can watch as well. That would help you. And secondly, you need to check if indeed you're really, really interested in HR, and it's not the fineness, the appearance, and how the fine English shows up, because HR is deep. HR is a thankless job. HR is what is like you're moving things and nothing is moving. So you really have got to be ready to do some sacrificial work such that nobody thanks you and you're happy doing it. Really check that interest and be sure that it's indeed a passion. And then you can talk to your HR about it. If indeed your HR is a coach, if your HR is interested in your interest, and I'm not just saying your development, your development is one thing, but because right now where you are, you need to actually build yourself there, establish that you're valuable to the team and the organization, and that can actually help you to transition. That's one story you can tell, that you're a star, right? But outside that, you can talk to your HR and share your interest and what you want to do. Also depends on the organization. In my organization, there's something we call focus development plan that helps you to couch your plan for the next couple of years. So you might be looking to move into another space. And when you put it on that plan, you discuss with your line manager and you discuss with your HR, and they would help you to begin to then look for opportunities. There are things we call gigs, for example. There are example of volunteers, right? Things you volunteer for. So you can look out for opportunities within the team that, or just talk to the HR. If you have something you want me to do, I have an extra 1 hour. I can wait and work after hours if you have things to do, and I'm here. So that extra support, when they are doing things in HR, you can go, right? Just be part of them, make friends with them, right? And that would let you know when opportunities come up. Yeah. But the quickest way to go in there is to just show up for them, support them, show what you can do. And thereafter, I believe you become top of mind. And when opportunity opens, you would be considered. Hear me?
Okay.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate. Thank you.
I think we'll take the very last. Okay. Two more. Oh, let me see. I have 5 more minutes. Okay, so we'll start with Abiodun Oladimeji. Please make sure you don't duplicate a question and make sure your question is cumulative. Abiodun Oladimeji, please. All right, let's quickly go to Abdul Malik while Abiodun is booting. Abdul Malik.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Hello?
Please proceed with the question.
Okay, ma'am. Please, my question is, I would love to know when is the appropriate time for somebody transitioning from an admin to an HR. When is the expected time for the person to be a strategic HR or an HR business partner? Something more strategic. When is the appropriate time to take up that kind of a responsibility?
So is this moving from HR admin to a strategic HR role, or moving from admin?
Okay, so I started with a company working as an admin officer, and thereafter I volunteer working with the HR. I help them out with things, and later I got to know that okay, I could do my certification and come into HR properly. So I transited from being an officer, an admin officer, to HR. But I noticed many of the things I love to do sometimes is not part of my job description, and I've gone through so many, like this HR mentoring group. We've had a lot of strategic HR things that I could practice, or I could show them that okay, I have this too. But many of the times they'll tell me, no, don't worry, your own is just to do this, your own is just to do that. So I'm looking at it. Is there a proper time to display being strategic?
Okay. Thanks for that question. And I love the context you shared it.
Thank you.
Sometimes, so first of all, there is no hard and fast rule about when you move from being an operational person to being strategic. And in my personal school of thought, the being operational and strategic go hand in hand. You've got to be hands-on. In the world we're going right now, I mean that we're in right now, even if you're strategic, you also have got to be hands-on. So you need a balance of all of that. So back to that, there's no timeline, right? But how you know if you're ready for being strategic or taking strategic responsibility is being able to evolve into it over time. You give it time, and gradually there is no day you're going to wake up and you say, now I'm strategic HR. No, I don't think there's going to be a day as such. Because even at the level some of us operate, right? We're still very practical, still operational, and still strategic. Now, I'll tell you, being strategic it's first of all about the thought process, the way you handle the big picture, the how, right? Being able to tell the story of the why, the how, and then it translates into what are we then going to do, right? So I want you to be careful and for you to tread carefully in this bit of, oh, I want to transition, right? Now, in this particular context you have shared, I think that there are suggestive ways that when a project is ongoing, you're part of a meeting, or even if you are not invited to that meeting, someone that attended a coffee chat, you're at the canteen, you're talking, oh, that's that project. How is it going? I'm just interested to know the progress. What are you guys doing about this? What are you guys doing about that? Have you thought about this? The kind of questions you're asking would first reflect your interest and also show if they have not thought about it. Over time, you will begin to be a go-to person that, oh, and she mentioned this thing, and we could have done it this way, or let's try this idea she brought up. You don't have to be in that room for those ideas to actually pass through to the room, and then they would execute. So I don't think you need to wait for the office before you can add value. And that means you're conscious of the things that are happening in the organization. You are thinking about it. And I tell you, the way the world of work is, we do 9 to 5. It is getting things done. We hardly have time to think. But it's important that you create time to think about some of those things that are the extra. They're not part of your normal day-to-day job. It is that thinking where you will get the ideas and then you will pass it through to some of the people that are currently on the job. A lot of insights that you can share either with the boss or the project lead or a team member can move that project fast or faster. And you may not be rewarded with a new position or a new office, but I have seen it time and time again that providence does not owe. So when you sow your seeds, you will reap it. A quick story. I know we were really, we've spent a lot of time. When I transitioned from investment banking into HR, it was not planned. And I was not looking for HR job, right? I was a contract staff. But the opportunity opened and I read about HR overnight and I went for the interview. But my leadership were just going to use me for a stopgap. That was intention. That was a business plan. I was to go back into my stockbroking work and continue from there. I was to be trading stocks. I now did this work so well. I now found my passion. The business said, you cannot continue to do this HR. You would need to come back to investment banking, do your stock trading and all of that. My sister, the job I got was not in the organization. I got an HR job outside the organization. It was a befitting job, but I'd sown my seed. I'd worked extra, not just about the extra. I owned that job, even though I did that job as a contract staff. You see? So there is the bit of you doing the work, whether you had the office or not. And as I told you, a contract staff working in the job of an HR manager being paid as a contract staff, but it didn't matter. It was more about the job and we were doing it. But Providence never owed. Providence didn't owe me. I can't say that God owed me for the effort I put in there. So just hang in there, keep putting it in, go the extra mile, do the work, learn and deploy. The opportunity will open up either where you are or elsewhere.
Thank
I
you
hope
very
that
much.
works. I hope that
Thank you so much. We are pressed for time and we absolutely need to wrap up. Now, I'm not speaking by faith now, in quotes. Faith Akintunde will be coming back. Well, I'm speaking by faith because it's the hope of things, the assurance of things. We have it in black and white. We have a contract, social contract anyway. She will be coming very soon and she'll be teaching us around our personal finances. Please check Faith Akintunde on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel tonight. I have subscribed. I subscribed before today. So if I subscribe to something, you
answer this question. Just one.
Our collective interest. All right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Faith Akintunde, celebrate you. We do not take this for
to ask this question.
the rest of your night. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.